Howdy, folks. I like to make a statement about James Tour. James Tour is an organic chemist. He's a professional businessman in that area as well, and he's talk about a subject of abiogenesis. Now, James Tour is a very professional man. He has got some businesses, as far as I know, 14 as in his statements, all organic chemistry based. So he makes a living out of it, and having several businesses in that area. Next to that, he has got published about 700 or more papers on the subject of organic chemistry, and he is cited more than 100,000 or about 100,000 times because of those articles. And he's a major professor in organic chemistry. So when he talks about organic chemistry, people listen. He's an expert. He's a very big expert on organic chemistry. Now, based on his expertise, he does many statements. He makes many statements about abiogenesis, the coming about of life from chemicals, simple chemicals like carbon dioxide, methane, maybe ammonium, and so on. Now, I'm a chemist too. Not as high as a level as James Tour admitted. But the thing is, I'm a chemist too. And I watched some of his videos. And, well, I must say, he is correct in his scientific approach of that subject of abiogenesis. Scientifically spoken, he is correct. It is simply impossible that life emerged spontaneously by spontaneous processes from simple molecules. And yes, simple molecules can emerge, for example, like amino acids, stuff like that. I mean, we see the Urey Miller experiments, which are nice by themselves. Now, J.D. Bada, another researcher, found that by random processes, natural random processes, the Urey Miller style, nature can produce about 40 different amino acids, of which most have a chirality to them. It's a racemic mixture, so 50% the left hand form and 50% the right hand form of that molecule. So yes, I mean, nature can make that. I also wrote an article about it in which you can see at academia.edu. But the whole thing of life emerging spontaneously out of chemicals is, as Dr. Tour, Professor Tour, James Tour tells it's impossible. There are way too many complications which the organic chemistry bumps into. And I have some knowledge about organic chemistry. I'm not such an expert as Dr. James Tour. But yes, indeed, he's correct. You have to tune with all kinds of parameters like temperature, pH, solvents, organic solvents or inorganic solvents, polaric solvents or apolaric solvents and stuff like that to make chemical reactions possible. And there is also a logistic problem that Dr. Tour mentions, which is the amounts of chemicals. And like he said, nature does not keep track. It has no notebook in which a laboratory notebook in which nature can go back. How did we make that such and so component? So sorry. So from that point of view, if you have some organic laboratory experience, you know that these are requirements to bring about organic components, like sugars, like lipids, like amino acids, and stuff like that. The phosphates are included for the DNA, RNA, stuff like that. And the basis of which DNA and RNA are made of. It's not a simple thing, folks. And many people think they know something about it, like for example, Dave Ferrara, I think he's called, from Ask Professor Dave. Well, in the first place, he's not a professor, seemingly. He's a student in organic chemistry. Well, I studied organic chemistry, and I think that Dr. James Tour is correct in what he says, and that Dave Ferrari, or whatever his name is, of Ask Professor Dave, he is simply wrong. I mean, he's just finishing his PhD or something like that in organic chemistry, and he may have some little experience on educational level in organic chemistry, but he's not such an expert as Dr. Tour, James Tour, is. So basically, I'm breaking a lance here for Professor James Tour, that he's correct in his statements. He's scientifically correct. And most organic chemists who are dealing with origin of life, OLL, research, they buy the components purified and so on, which does not happen in nature. And what Dr. Tour is talking about is prebiotic circumstances, is assumed in the theory, the idea of abiogenesis, and following chronology in sequence, the evolution would take place. I mean, if there is no abiogenesis, then evolution could never have taken place. I mean, what is there to evolve? But James Tour is addressing this subject very well, scientifically, purely scientifically. Of course, he's a Christian, I'm a Christian, Messianic Christian. We both are. But purely from the point of science, he is simply correct, folks. And you cannot deny, I mean, Professor James Tour is a person that if he speaks about this subject, you listen. He's one of the guys that you take seriously in these matters. I mean, he I don't know what his financial value is, but he has 14 businesses in organic chemistry. And he's a professor in this subject, so he's an expert. So if he talks about this, you listen. And many people have tried to do some research in this area, like people like Greg Venter and other Jack Sostek and other people. And folks, they find out more and more that it's not as simple as people think it is. Creating life out of bare elements or simple chemicals like carbon dioxide, ammonia, and stuff like that, methane, whatever you like, alcohols, maybe simple alcohols, methanol, ethanol, maybe propanol, all kinds of propanol isomers. So Professor Tour is correct in his scientific approach of the problems of life spontaneously emerging. It's maybe if you design it very well, maybe in a couple of 100 years, people are able to create artificial cells, but it's a long way there. I mean, it's the same like for example with fusion energy by means of a tokamak. I mean, every once in a while they say, well, in 30 years we have it. In 30 years we have it. And 10 years later, yes, in 30 years we have it. Well, The same is most probably with the research in abiogenesis. Yes, in 50 years we have it. Yes, in 50 years we have it. Yeah, yeah, right. Well, it's far more complicated than people have assumed, and all that complexity that, I mean, if that needed a random processes, it would take billions and billions and billions and many billion trillions of times of the secular estimated age of the universe. I mean, they estimate that the universe is 14 billion years old. I don't buy that, but that's another story. I don't think it's that old. Mm, but even those 14 billion years is close to zero with respect to what that random process would require to make things happen as abiogenesis evolution supposes that has happened. So basically, it's impossible to say that it happened in that way. I'm sorry, that's pseudoscientific nonsense. It's absolutely not true. There is far too little time for even making the simplest proteins, for example. I wrote a paper about calculating that, and it's nature. The physical laws, the natural laws, they work against this supposed random process of abiogenesis. And I support Dr. James Tour in his point of view, scientifically, for in the first place, but especially also religiously. We are on the same side of the coin, and I support him. I mean, let's separate these two things: religious part and the scientific part. Well, whether you believe in God, yes or no, that's for the scientific part is irrelevant. But scientifically spoken, it makes no sense that life emerged spontaneously out of chemicals only in a couple of supposed 100 million years. That makes no sense. Scientifically, it makes no sense. And for that, James Tour is absolutely correct. All his science, all his approach of the scientific part of it is simply correct, folks. You better accept it. And then, if that's not possible, if the scientific part is not possible, then yeah, how did we get here? I mean, you can say, well, aliens, yeah, but where do these aliens come from? And I mean, they're bound by chemistry as well. I mean, if aliens created life here on Earth, I mean, where do the aliens come from? And I mean, they used, if it were aliens, then they have used organic chemistry as we know it now, carbon based. So they must have some experience in carbon as well. So, but where did these aliens come from? I mean, it's nothing more than shifting the load of the burden of proof to some from how it's far away, and we don't know about aliens and stuff like that. So it's shifting the burden of proof, and basically it's nonsensical. I mean, they suppose that life emerged here on Earth, so tackle the problem here on Earth and not far away. It's just a simple excuse to deny the whole thing. But because of the chemistry remains the same, whether it's here on Earth, whether it's in far away, in a far away distant galaxy. Referring to Star Wars. But yeah, I'm breaking a lance for James Tour. He's correct in what he said. All the issues that he mentions a lot of issues. The production of chemicals to start with, the purification issue, the characterization issue, the 7 different components that you need. It's yeah, you need lipids, you need sugars, you need amino acids, you need the basis for the DNA. It's sorry, folks. It's scientifically, abiogenesis is impossible. Even if you look at one of these small one of these small things, like formation of protein. I wrote something about that, and James Tour is right. So that's what I want to say, make a statement about, that James Tour is simply correct in this area. So, well, don't be stubborn and listen to the guy. He's a great guy next to that, and that's let me put it straightforward. That's purely scientifically spoken. Apart from the religious point of view, how did we get here? Well, it's so, life is so complex. Even the most simple cells are more complex than people can imagine. So don't let secular science fool you. And so how did we get here? Even in those, if the universe is 14 billion years old, I don't believe that, but I think it's crap. But I think the Earth is about 6,000 years old, just as the Bible tells us. So that's the religious aspect of where did we come from? Yeah, I think life is so complex that only an intelligent, supernatural being can have thought of it, created it, and made it. And that's where God comes into vision, next to the scientific impossibility of life, spontaneous life formation from basic chemicals. So yeah, there is no other choice than to say, okay, yeah, okay. Apparently, God must have done it. There must be God, and also from my own experience, I know that there is a supernatural being who we know as God. I have, yeah, he's God is someone with whom you can interact. I mean, it's a relationship based faith, and you have a relationship with God, and He acts in your life, just like you know factually that your mother and father or your brother and sister exists. Why? Because you have interaction with them. No, well, it's the same with God. I mean, you can interact with Him from person to person, so you know factually that He is real, and you may not know Him yet. So I invite you to ask Him. And if you don't know who He is, well, start like I did. I mean, it was in the years 2000, 2004 that as a scientist, I wanted to know the truth about this. I had some supernatural experiences. So I knew that there was something more than the eye meets. And based from science, I knew that there could be only one truth. I mean, if you drop an apple, it always falls to the center of gravity. In our case, to the ground, which is on their way to the center of gravity of Earth. And so I started asking for, okay, and people I didn't trust. I didn't trust people. I said, okay, there are thousands of religions: Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Catholicism, Protestantism, Christianity. Well, you name it, thousands of religions, and people can create many hundreds of religions per day if they like to, and they do. I mean, atheism is a religion, has become. So science has become a religion instead of a facts-based thing. So people invent new religions more than they think they are. So I couldn't trust people, because everybody says, well, you have to come to us because we have the truth. Yeah, right. So I said, okay, to myself, you have only two options. God is real or God is not real. So I thought, okay, if God is real and he's the creator of the universe, then He's the best person to ask. So I asked Him, okay, God, if you exist, open my eyes for the truth. And that's what He did. So from a relational point of view, I know that God is real and that He's looking for you. And He's waiting for you to say, okay, apparently you're there. So you can ask Him the same question with a sincere heart. If you really ask that with a sincere heart, okay, I want to know the truth about this subject, and who is right, which religion represents God the best. And to me, I found out that it's Christianity. And of course, within Christianity, you have several flavors. Of course, I'm a Messianic Jewish believer, but God is real. It says you can have a personal relationship with Him as your Father. He is your Father. He is our Creator. Abiogenesis is not our creator. It's impossible. Scientifically spoken, it's impossible. There's not enough time. Even if you believe in a 14 billion years old universe, there's way. I mean, 14 billion years is close to zero compared to the time required for abiogenesis to take place. It's like 1 second on 14 billion years is close to 1 second on the time that abiogenesis would require. So it's impossible. And God told us gave us some rules which we broke. We all break them. I mean, I break them sometimes. I don't want to. I mean, but that's what we do. That's our nature. That's the nature of human beings. But God solved that problem by sending Yeshua, Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. And he said, okay, listen, guys, you're doing wrong, and that deserves a penalty. You should go to hell forever. But God says also, I don't want that, because I'm your Father and I love you. And so I pay the price. And so that's why God said, okay, I will come down via my Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, and he will pay the price for you. And if you have trouble with the three persons of God, I mean, you can see it as like a puppet player. God is behind the screen and Jesus is the puppet, let's so to speak. And also this picture is kind of confirmed in the Bible where it says that God has sent his right arm to us, and his right arm, this is my right arm, but God also sent his right arm to us, and that's Jesus. Jesus is his right arm. So basically, and that's, so speaking of an arm, that I mean, this is my arm. So, and we are one person, you know. My arm belongs to the person of who I am. So Jesus also like the arm of God. So he's one person. And you can compare it with like a puppet player that has a puppet, and he plays behind. God plays behind the screen, but with the sock puppet, and that's how God was in Jesus as well. So kind of. So that's how you can explain the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They came in that way as one person, but still recognizable as three different distinct parts. And Jesus paid that price for you to go to heaven. And the science, there is many science which confirms the Bible time and time again. I mean, there's so many subjects that the Bible discusses which are found to be scientifically correct. Of course, you can deny it, whatever you like, but then you have to deny it by means of lies. And that's what the Bible also, that's what Jesus warned us, that yeah, of course you can deny God, but then it's based on lies. You have to lie in order to deny God. You have to rely on lies in order to say no to God. But that's a choice. That's your choice. And things like James Tour is saying are truth. It's scientifically, the Bible is scientifically correct in all that it has to say about scientific subjects. I mean, there's a lot of poetry in it as well, historical. It's basically a history book, but also there are scientific relevant subjects in the Bible which are correct. We find out more and more that these subjects are correct. Okay, so this is what I want to share with you. And if Dr. James Tour speaks, well, better listen, learn from the guy. I mean, he's an expert in organic chemistry, so don't discard him just that easy. I mean, listen to what he says. He's an expert in organic chemistry. And as I'm a chemist. I mean, I can confirm what he says, scientifically spoken. So better listen to him, what he says. Okay, this is what I want to share with you. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you agree. You don't need to agree, of course, but then I mean, you don't have to. But then you're against the science. I mean, it's not. Christians are not against science. I'm a scientist. James Tour is a scientist. We're not against science, as also Kent Hovind is saying. We are not against science. But the thing is, correct science supports the Bible time and time and time and time again, historically, psychologically, biologically, chemical, etc., planetary, astronomically, stuff like that. So the Bible is confirmed on many levels, time and time again. Okay, this is what I wanted to share. Thanks for watching. Hasta la basta. If you like this video, subscribe, please. If you want to support me, then you can send an email to singingpreacher@live.nl, singingpreacher@live.nl, and yeah, you can support me financially if you like. Thanks for watching. Hasta la basta, and see you next time. See you. Bye bye. Let's see how to end the stream. Oh, and if you have comments, please stay polite. Yeah, that's best way to do it. Thank you.